things I think while I lie awake and contemplate tonight are wearing me out. Well, maybe tomorrow the world will wake and get it right, but I have my doubts, yeah. So during the day, well, I design machines of war that scream through the sky. 'Cause I, for one, I like to go to bed free at night under these stars and stripes. And I have my doubts that we're coming out. Yes, I have my doubts. And I have my doubts that we're making back out. Yes, I have my doubts. But they'll wind you up and pull the cord until you're spun right out. And I don't understand. So roll the dice and raise the price to feed the machine's mouth. Call it the progress of man. Yes, I have my doubts. And I have my doubts that we'll make it back out. And I have my doubts. So I'll drink my stuff and raise some hell and shoot my guns to the end of my time. You can have the booze and go to hell and take the guns, but I know they won't be mine. And I have my doubts that we're coming out. Yes, I have my doubts. And I have my doubts that we're making back up. Yes, I have my doubts. So we're all messed up and out of touch. Let's text someone who's in the other room. So don't wonder why we don't say hi or know anyone. I might as well move to the moon. So maybe I'm wrong. Well, I hope that I'm wrong. So maybe I'm wrong. Well, I hope that I'm wrong. Well, the things I think while I lie awake and contemplate at night are wearing me out.
Good evening. So, another day. Not a lot of progress on any thing in particular today to report. Just not a lot to be able to do. So, there was something I was going to tell you about. Now I can't remember what it was. But, I mean, not a whole lot of announcements to make or anything as far as progress as far as anything we're doing. So, today, I had shared out a video that I made this morning about Russia and situations going on there. And And so this is kind of a trifold conversation, as well as being involving 3 countries, because I want to talk about the Russian part, the Chinese part, and I actually want to talk a little bit about what it will look like, because I think that is going to be the most prominent thing out of what I see coming, is going to be the shocking difference in the battlefield. So we're going to talk about that as well. And I've got a news article that that kind of goes that direction. Okay, just a little more proof, more or less, that that is indeed what they're doing. Hang on, scrolling this down. Forgot to do that. So anyway, I put out a video on Russia, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about Russia. Now, China, I'm not going to cover a whole lot, and the reason why is because I'm not going to sit here and bullshit you. I don't have any real good information that I have personally researched on what's going on with China. However, I will point you to a video that has an absolutely incredible amount of information in it, and that is from the channel Timcast IRL. He put out a video today in which he talks about the China part of the equation very well, and breaks it down. There were a lot of stuff in that video that he mentioned that I had no idea was going on, and the reason why is because I had been watching, well, obviously I was watching the Israeli-Palestinian conflict very closely, and that settled down, but I've also been very attentive to this build-up on the Russian border. And now, while we're just now hearing about Russian buildup on the border, I have been aware for quite some time of a continual and gradual buildup by the United Nations. And let me tell you what, at this particular point in time, there is a sizable force near the Russian border, with the capability of increasing that force astronomically at the drop of a hat. So I've been watching that. Like I've said 1,000,001 times, I don't let government, or anybody else for that matter, tell me who to fear, who to love, who to hate, who to trust. I don't. No, that ain't gonna happen. And so I've been watching this as best I can from an outsider view. And, I have seen basically Russia doing everything that they can. And I've mentioned it. In fact, I brought this up, I don't know which day it was. I don't know if it was yesterday. Actually, I brought it up in today's video, this morning's video as well. But, I think Putin has done a hell of a job with diplomacy to this point. I do. And I think that that's wearing thin. And I think that, not that they ignored the NATO buildup of troops on the Russian border. Clearly they didn't ignore it. But I think that they kind of held back for the longest time from building up any of their own troops, because anything they do is marked Russian aggression, right? They don't even have to do anything and it gets marked Russian aggression, right? And I'm not sticking up for anybody here. I'm reporting what I see, and I have dug and dug and dug, and this is the stuff I'm seeing. And so I wanted to add in a couple of things that I didn't cover in the video this morning about Russia, to give you a little better idea of why the situation's so tense. There are a couple of things you know about Ukraine, I'm sure, and involving Ukraine. And this is not even talking about the political aspect of Ukraine or the territorial aspect of Ukraine, okay? Which is, you have to understand, that's why Russia, that they drew a red line. And their red line is they're not going to talk about Ukraine, okay, to NATO. And so, I'm taking that off the table. I'm not even talking about that conversation. There's another conversation about NATO, or not about NATO, but about Russia and Ukraine, and that's Nord Stream 2. There's apparently a pretty big concern that once Nord Stream 2 is fired up and running, that Ukraine is going to be cut off. And, you know, I've of course got my opinions on that. I mean, it is what it is. But I think that's what's causing a lot of the issues now, the current issues, the current escalation. So that's one aspect. The other aspect involving Russia is there are several nations in the EU that not being too friendly with Russia right now, and it's been this way for quite some time. And once again, Russia has tried, from what I have saw from the reports that I have read, and I do my very best to dig as raw data as I can. I don't like people's, you know, when I'm researching stuff, I don't want to research people's opinions. I want to research what happened. I'll form my own opinion. And so anyway, from all indicators that I could see, it's the same manner. I mean, anything Russia would do would get deemed as Russian aggression. They're the bad guy, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's ridiculous. It truly is ridiculous. And so I think all of this stuff is in play together. And I think that it's going to lead to escalation. Now, as far as the U.S. is concerned, I think that the U.S. is going to be a third party. Okay? I don't think that the conflict will actually start with U.S. involvement as far as on the surface. Let me make that clear. On the surface. I think it will be a conflict between other nations, and then the U.S. will get involved. In other words, I think it will be either something like China moving in on Taiwan, or it will be something like either a flare-up in the Ukrainian area, the Ukrainian peninsula, or possibly, who knows, it could be anything from an accident to a actual flare-up right there on the Russian border. So, I don't think that it's going to be something that the U.S. is going to be first involved with. I mean, which isn't anything new, right? So, again, I'm not going to dive deep into the China and the Taiwan and all of that stuff because I haven't researched that as thoroughly, and that is an area that I am going to start looking into a little bit heavier. But for now, you guys can get that information from, again, Timcast IRL. Put out a video earlier today. I know he's live right now, but he put out a video earlier today that covers China very well. I can't even begin to cover it like he did. So I'd rather point you there on that. I would rather spend my time and effort talking to you about what this is going to look like, because I think that is going to be the most shocking thing out of all of it. Let me give you a little indicator of what I might be talking about. Just today, I shared out a news article where Boeing is celebrating a success. The first in-flight refueling of a fighter jet using an unmanned aerial vehicle. So, if that's any indicator. Now, hang on. We're just now being told about this. Okay, understand this. Our technology is insane, and I'm not waving an American flag and rah 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 United States. That's not what I'm doing here. Okay, I'm telling you the truth. We have some pretty incredible technology, but so does Russia and China. Okay, and we haven't seen any of this stuff yet. So when I'm talking about a new battlefield, I mean a new battlefield. I mean an entirely new battlefield. I think that the use of things like drones, including autonomous drones, is going to be in such widespread usage that it's going to be mind-blowing. And I think that it's going to involve the United States of America. I have no doubt it will. The logistics of that are much different than any other major conflict that we've been in. To take and deploy an autonomous vehicle or device is a lot easier than having to man each and every, you see what I'm saying? So being able to deploy an army of autonomous whatevers, whether they be drones in the form of flight, whether they be some type of ground vehicle or whatever, you have to understand these countries, all of us, Russia, China, U.S., we've been working on this technology for a very, very long time. What we're hearing about, like the news articles that I share and stuff like that, that stuff is so outdated, it's unbelievable. Okay? But I still tell you because it's important to also note when they're telling us about this kind of stuff. Because believe me, this isn't just, oh, well, look what hit the news cycle today. These things are being released as a matter of propaganda for other nations. It's a fact. When China right now is building up their nuclear arsenal, they're doing that. It seems to be in response to Biden the other day, wanting to actually put some feet on this investigation of the Wuhan lab theory. Okay, so that's one of the things that's really increased the tensions between U.S. and China right now. Well, apparently, some cat with China, he said something to the effect of they're going to increase their nuclear arsenal. And so you have to understand, these countries are doing this as a form of, actually, in a sense, communication with one another. But even more so, it's not communication to the governments, okay? It's communication to us. Remember that. Because, believe me, the governments have better ways to communicate with one another, okay? So when you see stuff like this come out, what it actually is it's a form of propaganda. Now, it may or may not be true, blah, blah, blah. Like I say, all this information's outdated. But what it's trying to do is it's trying to essentially put fear in the populace of another nation, because then maybe those individuals in that other nation would pressure their own government not to go to war. Follow what I'm saying? Yeah. There's strategy behind this stuff. And so I just want folks to understand that all this stuff is outdated. That the fact that they are announcing the success of the first time of fueling a fighter jet with an unmanned aerial vehicle, that's, come on now. Anyway, one thing that I want to point out is I know that we've been engaged in what seems forever in the Middle East, in wars and combat. And a lot of what has been seen there there's been some impressive things seen there, but overall, as far as general equipment issue and all that, from my understanding, and I have to go by what others say, it was, and in many cases, lacking. Unfortunately, our troops, in many cases, would be lacking proper gear or gear in good enough condition and stuff like that. I want people to understand that a new conflict isn't going to look like that. It's not. It's not. And that's actually one of the things that Tim kind of touches on a little bit, just a tad. He talks about how there's new, I think he said bombs, not missiles, I think bombs. I think he was talking about bombs for aircraft. And so they are different, they're a different style, more geared for like a Pacific Asian type of combat versus a desert combat. So again, Tim covers that. I'll point you there to get that information. I'm just kind of trying to give you an idea of some of the stuff he was talking about. So technology is going to look completely different. Okay? Now, there is one thing I do want to cover. And, I will call stuff out. If something doesn't sit right, and I think it's important, I'll call it out. Just a matter of fact. And there was a kind of a rhetoric that I was watching Tim right before I came on air, and because like I said, he's on live right now as well. So I was watching him, and he went into the whole there's a gun behind every blade of grass rhetoric. And, I'm not denying that or anything like that, but I really want folks to understand that this battlefield is going to look different. Okay? Don't think that you're going to don your tactical vest and grab your AR-15 and run on, jump on top of your rooftop and save your neighborhood. Okay? Because that autonomous drone ain't gonna give a damn how Billy Badass you think you are. It's just gonna take you out. And it's gonna be a hell of a lot more accurate from several thousand feet in the air than what you are. So I'm just saying. And I'm not even referring to the drones that you're used to seeing, similar to like the military's Predator and stuff like that. There's a lot more technology out there than that, folks. A lot more. We're not seeing it. They didn't deploy it. And any instances to where they might have deployed a little newer technology in the Middle Eastern conflicts, it's not been the big stuff. Okay? They're very reserved on that. So I agree with you, Hemingway. We're absolutely closer to a form of that. I can actually remember many years ago being a child, and I loved Transformers, and I thought that was like the coolest cartoon. Now remember, this was back when the original Transformers, and so I actually kind of dreamed as a child one day that's how things would go. But understand from my mindset, what I saw it as was that it wouldn't be people fighting and dying. It would be machines being destroyed. Unfortunately, that's not how it's going to work. So, yeah, child's mind. And I wasn't, that young, but still, I don't know. I guess I was still naive. But don't fall for that. The whole rhetoric of, No nation would invade us because this, that, and the other reason. Don't believe that for a second. The logistics are totally different today. Everything, like I say, the entire landscape of the battlefield in every way, it's different today compared to since the last World War. Everything. So, it's no holds barred. They are going to... they are definitely going to put something over here. They're not going to leave the United States, go through a third global conflict, and pretty well come out unscathed, on its continental U.S. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. So, I know a lot of people want to talk EMPs and stuff like that. I don't know that that's how it would go down. And the reason why I say that is because them's fighting words. If you launch an EMP attack on another nation, that nation's probably going to open up nukes on you. Okay, and I don't think that anybody really wants to go there. So I don't really know how likely an EMP event from another nation is. I can't speak to things that could happen, but I don't see another nation doing it because that's an invitation to nuclear war, period. But an invasion's a possibility. I don't think this is going to start out between the United States and another nation. I think it's going to start out between other nations, and then we're going to jump in like that. So I think it'll be quick, but I don't think it's going to initially start with the U.S. Not on the surface. But this is what I'm looking at. This is what I'm seeing, and I do see it coming pretty quick. I really do. We'll see. Biden's when is that? Biden's supposed to meet Putin. CNN. I'm just seeing if they give a day. I don't know if they, for sure, if they've got a day. Because that's going to be important. That's why I'm looking up. I don't think that's going to go well. June 16th. Okay, June 16th in Geneva. So, I didn't know for sure if they had a date. I did hear it was going to be in Geneva, but I didn't know that they had a date for sure. So, yeah, June 16th. And that is going to be a very, very important meeting. Now, again, I don't think it's going to go well. I think probably everybody already knows that going into it. This is not going to go well. I have a feeling that after this meeting and not going well, I kind of have a feeling that there may be an attempt from NATO to have a meeting. I mean, there's already been an attempt, but I think there's going to be more pressure from NATO for a meeting between NATO and Russia. And I think what's going to happen there is that's going to go south real quick. Because I think, you got to understand, the only thing NATO wants to talk about is Ukraine. That's all NATO is interested in talking about essentially right now is Ukraine. And that is the line in the sand for Russia. You have to understand that, I don't see Putin backing down. I don't see that man backing down. So, I'm not going to sit here and pretend to tell you I know all the ins and outs of the politics and all that of Ukraine and all that stuff and Donbass, all that. I don't know. And I wouldn't sit here, even if I did study and research that, I wouldn't sit here and act as if I did know a whole lot, because you know what? I don't live there. All I can tell you is the information that I can get. That can be a stark contrast from the truth. So, anyway, let me go ahead and I'll throw the headlines out there and get out of here for the evening, making it an easy night. Just kind of want to have a discussion about that, because I think that's what we're going to be looking at very, very quick like. So there is so many things. I wished I didn't have as much of a scatterbrained mind as I do, because there are so many different aspects that I look at with all of this stuff. That I take into consideration, and it's kind of hard to pull it all together sometimes, with my mind anyway. But there's a lot. There's a lot of different little things going on. Like I said, I talked a little bit about Nord Stream 2, which has been a big, big issue. I think it's Brussels is one of the nations that is having a big issue with Russia right now. And there are others. So Germany's relationship with Russia is really, really poor. Poland. So I'm pretty sure, yeah, Poland's relationship is really poor. That's where a lot of the troops are, from my understanding. I don't see I don't see it going much further before something happens now. And it could kick off with a cyber event, and that begs the question, well, has it already? I don't think so. Now, when I say that I don't see them attacking the United States with an EMP, I don't necessarily rule out a cyber attack. It's not that I don't rule out a grid down. What I rule out is the manner in which they achieve that grid down, because the response from the United States is going to be very dependent on that. In other words, if you attack us with an EMP and destroy our infrastructure, destroy it, it's on. But if you hack our grid and just shut it down, cause issues, shut it down, I'm not saying not destroy anything, but keep the it keeps the damage a lot less than if you hit us with an EMP. That's a possibility, because I don't think we would go all nuclear in that case. If we could get power back going in, I don't know, 2-3 months time, I don't know that we would go nuclear war. Not right away anyway. So, I don't know. None of it's real fun to think about, but it's stuff that we damn well better. Plain and simple. So, anyway, let me cover the headlines, and you're gonna see some of what I was speaking of in that. I gotta find where the heck I'm at. There we go. Have a sip of tea, couple of vapes. But yeah, I got another one up there. Not quite sure what that headline means. Sorry for the dead air and being so quiet. That's kind of an interesting headline. Let me go ahead and cover that. I'll cover that right now before we do the rest of the headlines, because I want to know what he's saying. The headlines, so, kind of glamorized. Blinken claims Iran's nuclear bomb breakout time may soon be a matter of weeks, with talks held hostage to U.S. sanctions. So let me see what the hell they're talking about. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said talks to revive the Iran nuclear deal are stalling, claiming Tehran may soon cut its breakout time for a bomb to mere weeks as the country insists U.S. sanctions are impeding an agreement. Now, last I knew, I thought they were doing fairly well. Speaking to lawmakers during a House Foreign Affairs Committee hearing on Monday, Blinken said that despite ongoing discussions in Vienna to return to the nuclear deal, it is still unknown whether the two sides will still be able to reach an agreement, adding that Tehran's nuclear program continues to trudge ahead in the meantime. That we've seen. The last I knew, they had achieved 60% enrichment and were threatening 90%. If I recall correctly. Let's see. It remains unclear whether Iran is willing and prepared to do what it needs to come back into compliance. We're still testing that proposition, Blinken told Representative Ted Deutsch, a Florida Democrat. Let's see. The breakout period refers to the amount of time it would take for Iran to build a nuclear weapon if it were to decide to do so. Estimates have varied significantly over the years, with Barack Obama administration suggesting 1 year when it signed the nuclear deal in 2015. The more recent guesses have placed it around 3.5 months. Iran, for its part, insists its nuclear energy program is for civilian purposes only and that it has no intention to build a weapon. While the International Atomic Energy Agency, the UN's nuclear watchdog, has repeatedly confirmed the Islamic Republic is not diverting fissile material for military use, and until 2018 affirmed its full compliance with the nuclear deal, the body warned on Monday talks around monitoring its activities are becoming increasingly difficult. So, this is the thing that I don't understand, okay? They had this program. They were compliant with the program, from my understanding, 100%. And yet, that's not good enough? Okay. So then, they'll build a bomb. I'm not for this. We should be everybody's police thing. I'm not. And if they want a bomb and if they get into scuffles over, we're over here. This is our country. It's our country. We need to be concerned here. We need to stop sending money everywhere. We need to stop spending money everywhere. We need to be concerned here. It's ridiculous. Anyway, let's see. Tehran has maintained it will return to all terms of the deal once Washington resumes its own compliance, which would mean lifting a raft of sanctions imposed under Trump. President Joe Biden, however, has been reluctant to drop the penalties, instead embarking on new negotiations in hopes of arriving at an amended nuclear deal that is longer and stronger. Blinken reiterated that the stance on Monday, also stating that once the nuclear agreement is back in place, Washington would look to pressure Iran on other non-nuclear related issues. Let's see, there are multiple egregious activities that Iran is engaged in, including missile activity, proliferation, support for proxy groups, terrorism, destabilizing actions, he said. Each and every one would be even worse if Iran had a nuclear weapon or was on the threshold of being able to have one. I think they've probably had one for quite some time, but so you get the gist of it. But remember, I sure in hell don't let a government, no less any other human, tell me who to love, who to hate, who to trust, who to fear. Don't do it. I go by what I see. The other night, Ken Heron, the guy that's got the drone channel, he had a show last Thursday, I guess. And there was a gentleman he had on his show that, guess where he was from? Where he was at? Iran. And he was doing Ken's show. And he had won some props, I think it was, propellers for a drone. And so Ken mailed him the propellers in an envelope, right? Even with an American flag stamp. I'm not kidding you. An American flag stamp on it, right? The guy got it, right? Showed the envelope on the camera, right? So, and I mean, just the demeanor of the guy, you know what I mean? You can tell a lot. You can tell a lot. You got to be careful. If you're not, and I know you've heard this before, they're going to have you loving the people you should hate and hating the people you should love. And they often do. So, not saying you should love Iran. I'm not defending Iran. I'm not doing any of that. I'm saying we need to stop letting others lead us around by the nose. That's what I'm saying. Oh, I thought I had that up on screen. I didn't have that on for you guys. I'm sorry. I'm an idiot. I would have swore I had that open on that one. Oh well. My apologies. I thought I had it on this window. I've only got, well, I had 5 windows open. All right. To the regular headlines then. 50 killed, 70 injured as 2 express trains collide in Pakistan. Fire Fauci. Protesters flocked to Harlem church turned vaccination site during visit of coronavirus czar and Jill Biden. What? Let's see. Russia-China trade turnover soars nearly 25% since beginning of 2021. Embattled Thailand kicks off mass vaccination drive against COVID-19 after long wait. SJWs hail Marvel's new Filipina Captain America, but her name has raised eyebrows. Something. Sorry, it's hard to say it. Because the name can mean heroic genitals. So, I would like you to welcome our new hero, heroic genitals. So, senior Japanese Olympic Committee official takes own life by jumping in front of subway train, says the media. Uganda imposes new COVID-19 lockdown as cases surge after WHO warns of potentially disastrous wave for ill-prepared Africa. Google slapped with €220 million fine following French probe into anti-competitive behavior. China files formal complaint after U.S. senators meet with senior Taiwanese leaders and declare island won't stand alone. Oil slips from 2-year peak on prospect of higher Iranian exports and OPEC Plus discipline. So, and by the way, that's talking more as to what I was talking about earlier with I think the coming conflict. I'll just say it. NATO calls for crunch talks with Russia as Moscow unveils armed force shakeup in response to military bloc's activity on the borders. Of course, that's what we had spoke about earlier today. Chaos at Portugal's Faro airport as Brits rush to get home ahead of new mandatory quarantine rules. Toyota apologizes to family of employee who killed himself because of workplace harassment. China's vast foreign reserves grow to 3.22 trillion. Plan for Chinese university campus in Budapest may be iced after opposition mayor renamed streets after Dalai Lama and Uyghurs. If I said Uyghurs right. Is it Uyghurs? I'm not sure. I try. Not real hard, but I try. Health minister reveals death rates have fallen to pre-pandemic levels in most of Russia, but some remote regions still struggling. The thing I've wanted all my life, Jeff Bezos to fly to space next month aboard rocket ship his company built. Can you imagine? Can you imagine the shock if something were to happen? Yikes. I guess maybe it's has something to do with my generation and my age, and actually watching the Challenger explosion in the school, in class, as it happened. So, not surprisingly, that comes to mind a lot when space travel comes up. And, it's just something that comes up in the back of your head. And that really comes up with this article. So, I don't wish that or anything. Absolutely not. For multiple reasons. For one, I want to see this take off, Why shouldn't you have the opportunity to take a flight to space? Why shouldn't you? I've got no issue with that at all. None. Why shouldn't you? You can go to Cancun, right? Why should that be any different? Alphabet, a woke NHS website, hides glossary of highly divisive terms meant for staff training from public view after furor. I don't know. Again, I don't try too hard to English. Let's see. In January of 80, let's see. Oh, wow. Well, thank you. Thank you for your service. That was quite a while back. I never served. The only one in my immediate family that served was my brother Clyde, and he served in the Marine Corps. Not sure if it was 80 he went in, 82. I might have been 80. Is in that time frame when he went in. Let's see. Norway reduces interval between COVID-19 doses as vaccinations speed up. Government confident on supply. For some reason, that went blurry. India eases. Get off the screen. India eases COVID restrictions on New Delhi and Mumbai as coronavirus cases fall to 2-month low. Russian debt collectors file complaint about anti-LGBT MP after he brands them bastards and suggests canceling their passports. Tense vote count in Peru sees deeply contrasting candidates in nose-to-nose race for presidency. Utter scum, UK journalist slammed for suggesting Harry and Meghan should have named baby after George Floyd. Okay. Former Iranian Minister of Interior claimed to be among Hezbollah founders dies from COVID-19. Let's see, is this really a South Korean court? Lawsuit by World War II era forced labor victims against Japanese companies gets rejected. Newborn in India successfully treated for COVID-linked inflammatory syndrome amid alarming surge in cases. Remember, in India, that's where they've got all that fungus going on. That black and, is it black, yellow, and is it red? Yeah, it's crazy. Vaccines for everyone over 18, says India's Modi, as Delhi vows free rations for 800 million people until November. Dumping the dollar, Russia gets ready to shift currency liquidity to the euro, and they've been slowly dumping the dollar for quite some time now. I mean, really dumping it. Increasingly difficult to extend Iran monitoring agreement, says UN nuclear watchdog. Nearly 80% of surveyed Americans won't change their mind and get COVID vaccine as inoculation rates threaten Biden's July 4th goal. Well, tough titty. Zelensky accuses America of paying for NS2 pipeline with Ukrainian lives and blasts Biden for not meeting him before Putin summit. And we were talking about, kind of touching on this. You know, I'm telling you, Russia is not going to discuss Ukraine. He's not. Putin's not. Not going to do it. That's their red line, and I think they're getting pissed off. Anyway, Trump calls Bitcoin a scam and denounces it for competing against the dollar. So I'm kind of curious if he's going to have any backlash over that. I don't know the demographics of, Trump supporters and Bitcoin, whatever you want to call it, investors. So I don't know. AMC stock soars over 20% as Reddit-fueled rally extends to another week. Yeah, that's been going crazy. U.S. state-funded broadcaster RFERL fires Canadian freelance journalist after pressure from Azerbaijan. I'm sorry, I've got a dog slurping in my ear. Will you quit it? You're driving me nuts. Yeah, you. Quit. Thank you. I think. Sorry, just if you could see it. Are you really? Man. Supreme Court rules against immigrants with temporary status. FDA approves much debated Alzheimer's drug panned by experts. Progress on Myanmar route to peace painfully slow, Malaysia's FM says, ahead of Aung San Suu Kyi trial. I'm sure I've got probably every one of those wrong. Let's see. Russia must be realistic and realize that sanctions imposed by Western nations will remain forever, Deputy Foreign Minister warns. Let's see. Brazil doesn't need U.S. permission to its own backyard, ex-President Lula tells RT. U.S. Supreme Court rejects men's group lawsuit over outdated and sexist all-male military draft. FDA's vaping regulations survive as Supreme Court rejects appeal. U.S. regulators approve first Alzheimer's drug that targets underlying cause of the disease. I'm telling you, a Nerf gun would fix it. It would. Totally fix it. Child murder and first UK criminal convicted using DNA evidence now suitable for release, says parole board. She's just getting louder. I know you guys probably can't hear it because the mic's not that kind of mic, but yeah, it's annoying. She just keeps getting louder. Will you quit? Blue. Oh my goodness. Huge blaze at chemical. I just got grumbled at. Huge blaze at chemical factory kills 18 people in western India. By the way, while the intro song was playing for the show, she was already throwing a fit. So. A Republican congressman at House Committee on Technology accidentally posts email password on Twitter. Germany calls on EU to scrap members' veto right on blocks foreign policy decisions. Angry demonstrators in Canada behead statue of Egerton Ryerson, architect of controversial abuse-prone school system. Let's see. Obama says Trump was a factor in rise of anti-Semitism while president. I'm failing to see this. I am completely lost on this because I criticize Trump for being a lapdog. So if he was Netanyahu's lapdog, then how was he fueling anti-Semitism? That doesn't even make sense. But neither did the whole Russian story either, though. So, Lebanon's president approves loan for electricity provider amid fuel shortages and report of imminent blackouts. Drone refuels U.S. Navy jet in what Boeing says is historic first. That's what I was telling you about earlier. UK to vaccinate over 25s, but health secretary warns Indian COVID-19 variant creating tighter race with the virus. Go home. Kamala Harris greeted in Guatemala by protesters as country's president blames U.S. for border crisis. Well, no passports for anti-Semites. German MP suggests barring those questioning Israel's existence from getting German citizenship. U.S. says it seized $2.3 million in Bitcoin from ransom colonial pipeline paid to Russia-based hackers. A U.S. Education Secretary promises to defend transgender athletes' civil rights in sports. Officials say U.S. seized payment made to pipeline hackers. I already covered that. Hate crime. Canadian who ran over Muslim family in pickup truck, killing 4, is charged with murder. Let's see. And that already covered. That's it. That is the headlines. So, I am going to get out of here and let you guys be. And I will, God willing, see you tomorrow. So, fun times. We're supposed to get a lot of rain and stuff, so that's kind of what I'm waiting to see happen. I've got some projects I got to get done. I've still got to get the small shed. I still got to get it repaired and buttoned up. That will be video content that I will be doing. But I don't want to do that if it's wet or going to be wet out there, because it's, and, I want to at least give myself a good half a day to get that project done. And we were looking at rain every day in the forecast for several days. So as soon as I can, I'm going to get on that. And still got the other stuff I'm trying to get on it. So one thing at a time, or a dozen, however it works. So anyway, we shall see you tomorrow. As always, God bless you. We love you. Be one with your spirit. And shalom.